All right, salary, day 2 application. So, says Jack Downs, manager of Rural Kings, paid a salary $584 per week. Normal work week of 40 hours. So that's kind of that's the important information there. 584 per week, and that is 40 hours in a week. He's also paid time and a half for overtime. Find his gross earnings in a week. He worked 48 hours. Okay, so first thing we need to do, just like on that worksheet we just did, is figure out what is the hourly, okay, and I guess the regular hourly, right? So what's his regular hourly pay? How do we find that?
You would take like salary you have and divide it by how many hours you work, like if it's a normal work week.
Yep, salary 584 divided by normal work week 40, and that gives me a total of what? $14.60. Okay, so that's the regular hourly. So now let's talk about overtime. So let's find the overtime pay. So how do we find the overtime pay? Yep, multiply that by 1.5 and we get what? $21.90. Good. So next thing here, how many overtime hours did he work? Good. So 48 hours total. 40 of those are regular. That means 8 overtime hours. And then let's calculate the overtime pay. Or, yes, this should have been rate. So that should be overtime rate. Here. So overtime pay. How do I calculate overtime pay? The rate times the hours. So if I multiply those, 2190 times 8 is what?
175, 120.
175, you said 20?
Yeah.
0.20. What else do we need now to find the gross? Add what together? Yeah, so he also worked the 40, so for the 40, the regular salary, right, was the 584, and so I'm adding these two together to get the gross for the week. So what is 175 plus 584? 759 and 20 cents. So there's my gross, 759.20. Good. Okay. So it's basically the same thing we did, same stuff we did yesterday, except we're pulling out a word problem and applying it that way. All right. Let's do one more together. So Amber's working a lab tech at the hospital and is paid a salary of $2,147 every other week. Okay. So if her regular work week is 36 hours, find her bi-weekly gross earnings in which she worked 41 hours for the first week, 52 hours for the second week. So 2147 every other week, okay, and 36 hours is the regular work week. So how can we calculate that regular pay or regular wage? Careful. 2,147. Remember, that's 2 weeks. So each week she worked 36 and 36. So we gotta, yep, double that 36, and we're gonna divide that then by 72 because it's for 2 weeks. Okay? So 2147 divided by 72, and that gives us a regular rate of $29.82. Okay? So now let's talk about our overtime rate, so OT rate. Again, we're taking that regular rate times the 1.5, so 29.82 times 1.5 gives me what? $44.73? $44.73. Good. Now let's talk about our overtime hours. So OT hours. So the first week she worked 41 hours. How many OT hours are there? So regular's 36. If she worked 41, that means how many overtime? 5 overtime in that first week. The second week she worked 52 hours, which means how many overtime? 16. It's a lot of overtime. And if I combine those together, total overtime hours would be what? 5 and 16 gives me 21. So 21 total overtime. So since we're talking about overtime, might as well just calculate. So overtime pay then. Take our rate, $44.73 times 21. So what's $44.73 times 21? Chrissy, $44.73 times 21. 21. 939.33. Again, combine that with our regular salary, right? Yep. So adding the 21.47. So our gross pay for both weeks, 3,000 and what? And 86.33. That's it. All right, so last example then, similar to what we did on the back of the worksheet yesterday, okay? So Sarah earns $14.50 every other week, okay? So every other week, this is bi-weekly, right? So how many pays in bi-weekly? 26. Okay. So bi-weekly. So let's find the annual salary. So $14.50 times 26. Right? So $14.50 times 26, and that gives me annual salary of $37,700 even?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So now we need to look back. How many weekly checks are there? 52. So we're taking the 37,700, dividing that by the 52. So weekly I would get paid what? 725. Perfect. Semi-monthly would be what? So 2 times a month. So how many total checks? 24. So I'm taking the 37,700, dividing that by 24. 1,700. 570. 1,570. 83. Perfect. And then monthly checks would be how many? 12. So we're taking the 37. 1 second. 37,700 divided by 12. And we get total, what was it? 41?
Yeah.
67. 3,141, 67. Good. Okay? So again, find the annual, then divide the other options. Okay? Alright, that's your salary notes, day 2.